How's it going, YouTube? Welcome to my brand new series. We are calling it Professional Real Estate Advice. So, what this series covers is whether you live in Texas, whether you live in Houston. I am a licensed realtor and I serve the Houston, Texas area. Whether you are my client, whether you live in or out of state, whatever it may be, I want to provide professional advice that you're able to use in your own transaction. The point of this series is to educate and give value and provide value to the consumer of the real estate transaction. And do you need an agent, home buying and selling tips, and general professional real estate advice? That's what this playlist is going to be for. My name is Christian Hoang. I'm a real estate agent here in Houston, Texas. I've been serving the Houston, Texas area now for 3 years. I work with the top producing team. If you have any questions about the home buying or selling process, if you need any referrals or recommendations for realtors in your local area, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd love to help out. So, today's episode, we're going to get started with, do you need a realtor? Right? If you're buying or selling a house, what's the point of paying a realtor? All realtors do is open a few doors, put a sign on the front yard, and you end up paying them 3% or however much it may be, thousands of dollars. And, do you really need them? Why, as a consumer, would you not just try to do it on your own and save thousands of dollars, right? And, I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to give my honest, unfiltered opinion and truth on this. And I just want to shed as much light on this subject as possible and give as much good advice, good sound advice possible to see whether you need a realtor to represent you or not. And there actually is an instance where it might not be best to have a realtor represent you. That's going to be at the end of the video, so stay tuned. But originally I was very skeptical on, do I need an agent? What do agents really do? Why not just save the money? So the truth is, no, you do not need an agent to represent you in the real estate transaction. You are able to use all of the TREC promulgated forms if you are a consumer. They're available to the public. Anyone and everyone is able to use them. You do not need to be a realtor in order to write contracts, to make offers, to represent yourself. You are entirely able to do so by yourself. However, I want to talk and explain why this may not be the best idea and why it's actually better, and it's in your best interest to use an agent. So, the way that I see myself is I see myself as a realtor, as a real estate encyclopedia. I have studied the real estate transaction, knowing the process, knowing how to comp properties, know how to handle inspections, transactions, title, lenders, and what I'm able to do as a real estate agent and what your agent should be able to do is to provide professional advice and guidance. This is talking to lenders, talking to title, doing showings, pulling up all relative information like flooding, and all of this does is saves the consumer, the client, the buyer or seller time and money. So, one thing I tell my clients a lot is, if you were going to go to court, the court of law, would you represent yourself, right? Or would you hire an attorney, hire a professional, someone that knows the law? And the exact same thing happens in real estate. You, as a consumer, are about to make the largest transaction of your life, hundreds of thousands of dollars, either buying and or selling real estate. Why would you not choose to get professional representation? Especially, if you're only moving, buying, or selling real estate once every 10 years, it just makes sense to go to somebody who knows the transaction like the back of their hand and be able to market your property or be able to write competitive offers and walk you through the transaction, for the biggest transaction of your life. Where you have your families, where you have your home is where you raise your family, where you go to after a long day. You want to be comfortable with your investment, and it's best to consult a professional whether buying this piece of real estate is good or if you're getting a fair price for the value of your home. So let's say if you did want to represent yourself, you do want to go and say, okay, I don't trust agents. I don't want them to go and tell me how to buy or sell a house. I could do it on my own. Let's talk about what this process actually looks like to represent yourself. The first thing is, I would say, in order to feel comfortable, in order to represent yourself in buying or selling real estate, you would have to study the process. You would have to know, what does title do? What do lenders do? Where do uh, um, handle inspections, how to fill out the addendums and amendments for the inspections, right? To do that takes 20 hours a week, a part-time job of learning what it is like to buy and sell real estate. So you're going to have to study 20 hours a week for 3 to 6 months to be able to feel comfortable representing yourself in the transaction. You would have to do your own showings. You would have to market your own home for sale, for a for sale by owner. You would have to write all of your own contracts and paperwork. You would have to call all of your own title and lender, make sure that the process is moving smoothly. And you're expected to do all of this while being in the process of buying and selling your house. So still transferring utilities, still getting packed up, right? So you're essentially working 2 jobs. And this is still, while you are employed, while you still have your main job. So, buying a house and representing yourself in the transaction um, is a lot of work, right? Even if you were going to save thousands of dollars, let's say you save the full 3%, eight, nine, $10,000, for the amount of time, effort, and energy required going into buying your own house, handling all your own negotiations and contracts and paperwork, studying and knowing the process well enough to be able to feel comfortable, it just doesn't really seem like it makes that much sense. Compared to working with an agent, you would have professional advising, right? They would be able to schedule your own showings, schedule your showings. They would be able to advise on pricing, be able to negotiate and navigate the transaction, be able to inform the client of what the next steps are. They will follow up with title and lender. They will market your property for you. And all this does is saves you time and money. Essentially, you are hiring a professional to um, help you in your real estate transaction. And, sometimes consumers want to go and pay the lowest amount possible for their realtor and their realtor's work. And essentially, you get what you pay for. An agent that knows their worth, that knows that they are going to represent you well, is going to charge that fair value. So let's say that you did end up representing yourself, and let's run some numbers. Let's say you saved $4,000 in commission, right? But to get there, you have to study, go online, do research every day or every week for 20 hours. And you did this for 6 months until you closed on the home. With $4,000 saved and 480 hours worked, this is how much you made per hour, $8.33, a little bit above minimum wage. And this is a process that you're going to do once in every 10 years. So to go through all of that struggle, all of that, you know, process of learning how to buy a house just to do it one time to, sure, you save $4,000, but it took you 6 months to do that. It just doesn't really seem like it's in the consumer's best interest to use to represent themselves in the real estate transaction. NAR, the National Association of Realtors, also backs this up. They go and they say that 90% of home buyers and sellers are choosing to use a real estate agent. Consumers are still seeing, and that's why I'm not scared of AI taking over my job, anything like that. Consumers are still needing agents to represent them in the transaction. I would easily argue that this 90% is closer to around 95 to 97%. A lot of houses are done off market, whether it's, investments or selling to family members or, just offloading it. But majority of the time, most agents and how houses get national exposure is being on the MLS, and that's why most consumers choose to use a realtor in the transaction. So there actually is one very particular instance where it would be best to represent yourself in the real estate transaction. And this is for the very savvy investors who purchase 3 or more homes a year. There are investors out there that, they're buying 4, 5, 6 houses a year. They're flipping it over. They're renovating it. They're, renting it out. In that instance, you are so deep in the real estate game and you're so invested that that's where it would make sense, because you are representing yourself multiple times in a year, and that's where you're able to save that realtor commission multiple times. Doing that in itself and being able to buy 3 or 4 more properties in a year is a part-time job, and you have to be very dedicated to it. So most instances where consumers are representing themselves, are wanting to buy or sell real estate, it would make sense for that consumer to use an agent to save that time, money, and energy by not representing themselves. If you found the information in today's video helpful, I would appreciate if you could leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions about the information, please feel free to reach out. I will be uploading more professional real estate videos just like this in the future. We will cover professional home buying tips, home selling tips, how to choose the right realtor, and everything in between. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thank you.